grown. And I want to first say thanks to Dylan and to Kathy Tuttle, like you said, Kathy and Eli and Jake. And it just has been so good for me in just this last, like literally 9 months, because Kathy and Dylan and others have been working on these greenways for a long time. And of course, Sam from SDOT, you guys have been really interested and involved in this. But my involvement just started when I went to Portland. It was March 4th last year. Peter Hahn invited me to go down. And it turned out that it wasn't just me, it was like 30 other people went down and saw what Portland has done. And I came back thinking about what, in 5 years, Portland has got now almost 60 miles of neighborhood greenways connected. And I was so inspired by Portland being able to do this. I thought there's not a reason in the world why we can't. That's when I started following more closely what Kathy and what all of you at Beacon Bikes has done. But the excitement within City Hall, too, has grown. And so it's not just you in these rooms talking anymore. You are talking to people who are hearing you. And that's what makes me so happy. So just this morning, Eli, where you went again? Thank you. Your bicycle master plan letter was read by the SDOT folks who were meeting me at 8:30. And so we had Peter Hahn, who, as you know, is the director of SDOT, and all of his deputies. Jerron was there, Heather Marks, around the table. I'm just trying to get, I found in this, Kevin O'Neill, who's the new guy, was there. Charlie Bookman, Tom Rasmussen came, Bill LaWard was there. So you can tell that SDOT is taking this very seriously. And we're talking first about the bicycle master plan and what's going to happen there. So let me tell you a little bit about that, and then we'll move into where I think this is going to go. SDOT has gone out with an RFP, a request for, I don't think it's just qualifications, but they're looking to get some assistance. But they're not turning it over to a consultant, which frankly we were a little concerned about on the front end, because there's so much expertise out here with the Bicycle Alliance, with Cascade Bicycle Club, with Beacon Bikes, all of you. We want this input, and I didn't want to just turn it over to a consultant and say, go ye forth. So the Bicycle Master Plan update is going to be controlled by SDOT, and Kevin O'Neill is going to be the main person who is involved in this. And Kevin, if you haven't met him, is just a delight. And he came from Bellevue, but he also had worked at SDOT, I believe SDOT, right? Anyway, he's been with the city a dozen years ago, and he is someone who takes this bicycle work really seriously. So he worked in Bellevue, he helped put together their bicycle master plan, and so just the consciousness changed. Like, people are excited about this, they're excited about the work that Sam is doing. So the contract is going out, and I asked, who do they anticipate would be the responders to it? So Alda, of course, is one. Nelson Nygaard locally is another. Bill, can you help remember some other names? People who you would know.
SVR.
But what they want is an organization, an entity that has had national experience, so that they have best practices under their belt. And coming together, looking at cycle tracks, looking at SVR and the work that Dave Rogers is doing. He just walked in the door. But we want to learn from what other cities have done and not just start from scratch again. So SDOT is really committed to doing that. So the funding has been granted by the council, and again, this was you guys helping us. We got $250,000 put into last year's budget for this bicycle master plan. That was an unheard of opportunity, really, with all of the budget cuts. But it was important because people were saying the cycle tracks, the greenways, this is not just about transportation, this is public health, this is connecting our communities. So we got that money. The $250,000 will be used in this next year to fund. We will get the scope and schedule of the bicycle master plan. It all has to come back to the council by March 1st. We put a deadline, we want to see this, and we've put, the term of art is we proviso that money, meaning SDOT can't spend it until they come back and tell us what are they going to do with it and how it's going to work. So the consultant will be doing the assistance with the technical work, public outreach, planning, and best practices. But again, SDOT is going to be controlling how this goes, and we want it all done within a year, which again is important. I didn't want to see planning go on and on. But in the meantime, here's the other really good news. Charlie Bookman, who is, God bless him, he looks me in the eye and he promises me, he's a I will commit to you, we will have 7 miles of greenways on the ground in 2012. Quietly 7, but I didn't want to be. But this came to me last night, and I swear to you, I practically cried. This is a letter that was addressed to me and to Tom Rasmussen by SDOT, and in the back, the very back page, was a list that says, in 2012, the neighborhood greenway candidates under consideration are, grab this. Shoot, I did start tearing up. Okay. So, Wallingford and Beacon Hill, we consider you done and on the ground. We're going to make sure that you're funded first because you're ready to go. Ballard, Northwest 57, Beacon Hill 2, 12th and 13th Avenue South, North Delridge, 21st, 24th, or 26th. Greenwood, 1st Avenue Northwest, and University, 12th Avenue Northeast, and the Children's Hospital Northeast. So you guys have done it. This is your stuff. So I truly am just so pleased to see what, the idea of the small group dedicated to getting things done. It's a Margaret Mead saying, but I absolutely believe it. We saw a vision, we came together, and we have made this happen. And I said, Portland did 10 miles a year commitment, I want 11 miles. And honest to God, in the SDOT stuff that came back today, what number are they using? 11 miles a year, starting with 7 this year. Sam has been out here oftentimes by herself talking to people, and I talked with the SDOT folks today and said, I never want to see you out having to deal with community again by yourself. There's so many people here and so many people in SDOT that can work with you. And in Portland, Portland's equivalent of SDOT is PBOT, which I love. It's Portland Bureau of Transportation. And many of us met, Mark Blear and Greg Raceman. They've been together for almost 12 years now, at least, but I guess this is their 11th year. And they go out as a tag team when they go out to neighborhoods. And so they're talking about what do neighborhoods want, and then they have their public meeting, and then they come back and they say, okay, we heard what you want. We may not be able to do it, I'm making up numbers here. We may not be able to do it on 77th Northwest, or we can do it on 74th, or whatever, so that the communities are working together, but then also their city comes together. And so what's exciting for me now is I will continue to chair parks, but it's now called Parks and Neighborhoods. So the Parks and Neighborhood Committee will be involved with connecting what? Parks and schools and community centers and neighborhood, business districts where we want to go. So this again gives us another leg up on neighborhood greenways because it helps with transportation, but it also helps with getting people where they want to go within their own communities. So I think that's a really good next step. The grants, I'm thrilled to hear that so many of you are interested in applying for the grants. I can't tell you how important that is. Not only does it, visually get the attention that people are interested in making these happen, but also, if it turns out that the money is going into greenways or cycle tracks or whatever you want, and there's a gap between the interest and people ready to go, that helps us on the council to be able to say, this should not be a zero-sum game. This should be looking at how we're trying to improve our city. So the more interest we have, the more that you can demonstrate to the city that your grant, your neighborhood is important to you, the more likely we're going to be able to say, hey, we're right there behind you and find the money to do it. So I think I'll stop there. Why don't, if you have questions, let's spend a little time asking and answering, because I can't tell you how grateful I am for you and for what you're doing. Could you repeat the list of 7 miles? The seven neighborhoods. No, this is your stuff. Okay, so Wallingford, which already has, Kathy has already gotten the grant for hers, and they're almost, you've gotten started on some of this year. So she throws up her hand. So it's Wallingford and Beacon Hill, and that also is the Mountains to Sound Trail and connecting with the missing link that you're talking about, because it's Mountains to Sound Trail and South Spokane Street. The ballard links that they've identified are on 57th Street Northwest and 58th. So it's Seaview Avenue, 17th Avenue Northwest to 17th Avenue Northwest and 4th Avenue. So I don't have a map to point to.
This is from the list that they sent.
Yeah,
So
it is.
it's
Yeah,
their exact one.
yeah, right. Right, so if you've already got
I
that.
wasn't sure
No.
which,
No, it's
that one I recognized.
No, it's the work that all of you did and sent to SDOT. And the fact that they picked it up and said, okay, these are candidates under consideration, thrilled me. What I did not want to do is to spend a whole year planning and getting nothing done. I'm great on planning, I think that's really important. And we've got some pilot projects here that I wanted to see going. So that's going to happen. And Jacob's delighted that you're moving Tom Rasmussen tomorrow. He's really gotten on board on this. So that the more that he can understand that the greenways are connections to fast bicyclists like you, that's great. I keep thinking of them as being, you know, willing but wary. That's me. But Portland has demonstrated that once you get them in, once they're linked, then the strong fast bicyclists want to use them too.
The list of greenways, which is fabulous. Artie said there would be funding attached to those. Well, they're under consideration. I heard that.
This, what I'm hearing is that 7 miles, there is funding and they will do
There's
it.
funding in the existing
Right.
budget.
Right.
What source of money did you use?
I think it's bridging the gap money, and they have a list of projects here. This is the bike lane and Sharrow projects that were listed, and so some of them, they're going to just lift the money that they would have put Sharrows on the road. And I think most of us are saying, why, what is the Sharrow? What does that paint mean? We'd rather have designated bike lanes. The cycle tracks are too expensive for this route, but the dedicated or buffered bike lanes and our greenways, I'd rather see the money go in there. So I think SDOT's gotten out that message.
So, let's see, Bridging the Gap ends next year, so
I think it's, what's 2 years away? 2015.
2015, so what happens after Bridging the Gap?
We go back out again. We go back out to the voters and ask again.
For sure.
This last, well, as sure as I can, you know, as long as I'm on the council, I'll be pushing that.